What we're going to do now is do the tip-to-tip glassing of the fins, and you'll notice that there's a bunch of tape on here, and it's the outer tape gives me a place to cut the glass once it turns green. The front and the back I'm going to use the motor case. The inner pieces of tape are just to get my first piece where I want it to go. So we're going to do a little piece in here, then we're going to do a bit bigger piece, and then we're going to go tip to tip with one full piece. I've roughed up the fins, I've roughed up the body tube. What I did also was that I made some paper cutouts, and that's going to be for me to help cut out the glass. We'll do a piece there, we'll do a piece here. The next size is a little bit bigger, goes over the top. This one's not folded. It'll then go to right about there, and then my full piece is going to go over everything. Once we get that done, I'm going to put peel ply over the top of that. I have my fiberglass all cut out. I weighed it. I added some extra. I have some peel ply. We're going to put peel ply over this so that we get this nice smooth finish. And hopefully you can see, and I can keep the rocket tilted. The first thing I'm going to do is I chopped up some of the fiberglass into this little fuzzy stuff, and I'm going to make a filler to put in here along the fins. This one piece of tape's kind of in my way. Take this one off too. So I'm put some. I have some epoxy all mixed up. Some epoxy in a cup. Put in some of the fiberglass. In this case, I'm using a plastic knife. And that's kind of what you end up with. It's a little bit dry. I can add some more epoxy to it. So the first thing I'm going to do is wet out along the fins up to that first line. And we'll pull that inner tape off once we get to that point. I have little pieces of tape here and on the back. They just kind of form a dam to keep any epoxy from running down the back side. I have this turned so that you can see it. I'm doing that same 5.85 ounce glass. A little hair. Okay, then I'm going to come along and work this in. I might switch over to a little stick, which I think I'm going to. A little stir stick. This is the same way I did on the Kestrel video, if you've seen that. So I'm just trying to get this as even as I can. We're up on the tape right there. Going to be up on the tape on the other one. And again, this inner tape is just references for me to put that first piece. Right now this doesn't have to be perfect. We're going to run our finger along there once we get all done. Do this other side and roll it up here a little bit. Making sure the video's still rolling. The rack that I have this on is the same rack that I used to glass the body, make the body tube. I just reversed them and it hangs out. If you need to draw lines to kind of see where you're going and stuff, how big to make it, that's fine. Getting close. The more you do this, the better you get at it. Now is when the shakes kind of come in handy. Okay, we got that all done. We have everything wetted out, so we're going to take our first piece. I'm going to hold it up to the lines where the tape is. Get my paintbrush. So we have the top and the sideline pretty close. So now all I'm going to do is take the paintbrush and dab it into place. If you end up with little hairs like this, get rid of them. I'm going to pull that tape off. It was just for alignment to get me started. Wet out the glass. We're going to do the other side. Use the paintbrush to pull it up to where I want it. And pull off the alignment tape. And put a little bit more epoxy, start wetting things out. Okay, now we're going to wet out everything all the way to the edge. So if you notice that we're building up mostly this part of the fin right here. This is not going to break off. The more span that you get, the more chance of the fin's going to break off. So that's why I build up more where it's the widest. Clean my gloves. So the underneath piece goes to like right here and then cuts in. This is a little bit wider. Gonna wet this out. Same thing on this other side. Batteries haven't died in the video camera. Not sure that I have enough epoxy. Okay, now the full piece. I'm going to start in the middle, dabbing it, just trying to work up that epoxy. Should have weighed this thing and figured out how much this adds to it weight-wise. I think I'm going to have enough epoxy. So all I'm doing is trying to wet this out. I don't want to put a whole bunch of extra epoxy on here because it's just dead weight. Okay, now I'm going to take my finger. You have very good feeling in your finger. And I'm going to make up put a little bit of denatured alcohol. And it just makes it like a lubricant for the peel ply. I'm going to put some on my finger. I'm going to run it right along here. And I can feel and smooth things out. If you have a high spot, which I do right here, I'm going to pull it forward. That's nice and smooth. Now pull this one back. Okay, and if you see right here, I pulled the glass up doing that, so all I'm going to do is push it down. Push it back down. When you see the epoxy come through, then you know it's all the way back down. Okay. So I have some strips of peel ply. And put these right in the seam. Work this down. You won't be able to get 100%, but 90% of this is a lot less sanding to do. Take another piece, I'm going to put it on this side. I'm going to cut the peel ply just so that it forms a little bit better right there. And I have a piece for the center. Taking my lubricating epoxy. Just work this out. Then I have pieces for the fins. This is going to save you a lot of sanding. Okay, last thing I'm going to do is check it with my finger. And we're good. So once this fiberglass turns green, I can still see my tape line. I can peel the peel ply back a little bit and cut that extra off. Otherwise you're going to have to sand it off. But because we put the tape in right at the beginning of the leading edge and stuff, it's going to go from the leading edge to this last layer, and then the layers underneath just kind of blend in with epoxy and stuff. The peel ply just makes it much more easier to sand. So we're done with that one. Okay, it's been about 4 hours. I had to put a little bit of heat to it. It's a little bit rubbery still. We're going to take it apart the way we put it together. We're going to start with the fin first. I came back a little bit ago and I cut along the tape. You can see a little piece of tape still here. Take that off. And when the fiberglass is rubbery like this, it still comes apart pretty easy, or cuts pretty easy. Get the corners peeled up. And do the center. Sometimes it leaves a little bit of the peel ply film. So then once this is all rubbery, you can just come back with a knife, cut that off. Same thing here, just squaring it up. That noise you hear is rain. Sounds like it's pouring outside. And this same method works with carbon fiber. I'll bring it over to the camera once I get this cleaned up a little bit more. Get this motor out. Being careful because not all the fins are attached. Take the peel ply out. Use it on the next batch. Now bring it over here to the camera so you can see. We got a little bit of a fill to do here and at the beginning, which is normal. We got a little bit right there, but if we look down those seams, and then you can hardly feel anything in here through the transitions. You can't even see them. You can barely see one right here, and that's about it. So we'll do the other 2 bays, and then we'll have a little bit of sanding to do, and moving right along. So going over it, once you get your fins tacked on, figure out what kind of glassing you want to do. For this one we did 3 layers, starting with a 1/3. Then we went a little bit bigger over that, both fins. And then the next one was full tip to tip. You can use tape to prevent fiberglass from getting to where you don't want it. Cuts off right along there, nice straight line. Use the other tape as alignment guides, so where our first piece was going to go. Use the peel ply. The peel ply is huge. There's very little sanding that's going to be needed to be done on this. So next couple of days, hopefully, I'll get it done.